everyone, and welcome back to another video with DIYs by Carolina. I hope everyone is blessed and having an amazing day. And if you are new to this channel, welcome. My name is Carolina, and I would absolutely love to have you join my family of subscribers. And as always, to my existing subscribers, welcome back, you guys. So as you guys can see from the title of today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 budget-friendly DIY landscaping projects. These landscaping projects will beautify your yard space while adding tons of value to your property, and they're budget friendly. They require little to no digging and can easily be completed by one individual as a weekend project. So here's a quick look at what my entire front yard space looked like before the makeovers. So let's go ahead and get started with the first landscaping project. So the first space that I'm going to be making over in the front yard is actually going to be around the mailbox area. This is going to be my first DIY budget-friendly landscaping project. And so guys, this is a simple and easy project. It can be completed in a weekend by one individual. So before starting this project, I did some research for a design for a mailbox makeover. And I searched YouTube, I searched Pinterest, and I came across this photo and fell in love with it. So even though I fell in love with this particular design, these are some other ones that I was considering as well. So as you guys can see, I went ahead and just kind of dug a trench basically between the driveway and the area that I'm going to be making over. And this is so that whenever I add my mulching, the mulching will actually have some place to settle and it won't spill over onto the driveway whenever it rains or whatever the case is. So you always want to remember to do that. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is adding the no-dig landscape edging, and this is basically going to help me create the design that I want for this landscaping. This requires no digging, which is perfect because usually in these type of makeovers, you have to dig out a lot of dirt, and y'all, that could be a lot on your back, okay? But anyway, this is the design that I chose, that I came up with, and I decided that I wanted to actually add a little interest to this little mailbox space by adding some flowers. And so this is what I'm doing now, just adding some different plants to give it a little bit more interest. So to protect the area as much as I can from the weeds, I went ahead and applied some X-board. You can also use cardboard in this makeover as well, but I use the X-board because it's a lot more pliable, a lot more flexible, and easier to manage. Also, you can use weed fabric or any other type of weed barrier that you choose. So here's what the space looks like after applying all the X-board. As you can see, I also added some brick edging, and I did this to kind of give the space a little bit of height. So I ended up changing out the brick edging for these particular ones. I actually purchased these from Home Depot. So this is what the space looked like once it's been like 80% completed. I've added the mulching on top of the X-board, and the only other thing I needed to do now was just go ahead and add some type of stepping stones for the little walkway space here. And I decided not to go with stones. I actually went ahead and purchased some decking boards and had them cut to 1 foot and applied those along with some pea gravel, and this is the end result. So this project was super easy and affordable and was completed by just myself, and I was able to complete this entire project in a weekend. Okay, so now the second project in my front yard space that I wanted to completely make over was this area here by the 2 trees. And one of the reasons I wanted to do that was because it's clear, you guys can obviously see the grass is not growing. There's a lot of bald spots all in the yard, and around the trees there's a lot of weed, a lot of bushes. So there was a lot going on in the space, and I definitely wanted to make it more beautiful and more appealing, especially since it's in the front yard. So to get started with this landscaping project, first I went ahead and cleared out all the weed from around the trees. And guys, don't be like me. Use your gloves whenever you're pulling weeds and things. So here's a quick look at the space after I've cleaned out all the weeds and the debris from around both of the trees. And the plan here is to basically conjoin both of these trees and make it one large space. And so that was the plan, to just do like a really, really nice landscaping that's going to conjoin both of these trees. So you guys will notice that the first thing I started doing was just basically watering the space, and that's because my soil was so hard, you guys. I have clay soil in my front yard, so it was really, really difficult trying to lay down the landscape edging here. So the next thing I decided to do was to head over to my local Walmart and pick up some of these cardboards. Usually they give you these cardboards for free. And so I'm going to be using these as weed barriers in my landscaping project. So here's a quick look at the space after I applied all the cardboard. This was super easy, you guys. Basically, you want to make sure that you remove any tape or any labels from the boxes, because those things won't decompose in the soil. And so basically, I just went ahead and made sure to try to cover up as much of the soil as I can. But yeah, this didn't take long at all. And it's a lot more healthier for the environment. So to wrap things up with this project, I started applying the mulching to the cardboard. And so what I basically did was I will use the water hose and just kind of wet the cardboard really, really well. So then that way it will help the mulching to lay flat and even in that space. And so here's the final results, you guys. So I think this project turned out really, really wonderfully. As I mentioned before, this is something that can be done by one person. This can easily be done in a day or a weekend. But basically, this took no time at all. It was completely budget friendly, required no digging. And all I used was the landscape edging and then the mulching and the cardboard as my weed barrier. What do you guys think? So in my next project, I'm actually going to be updating the flower bed in the front yard space. Now, I have pretty large flower beds on either side of my home, and as you can see, the hedges are overgrown. The bricks are not matching. They're different bricks or whatever. There's a lot of weed. So this is another great way to just kind of upkeep and keep your front yard space looking beautiful. And again, all of this adds value to your property. So I'm definitely going to be upgrading and updating the space here on both sides, just trimming back the hedges, pulling the weeds, and just getting everything nice and uniform and giving it a fresh dose of mulching. So to get started with this project, the first thing I'm going to do is create a nice pathway between the house and the hedges. This is going to give me a nice clear pathway to get behind the hedges. So then that way I can, I have a nice view of everything, and that way I can make sure that the hedges aren't scraping up against the window and against the house. All right, you guys, so this is what it's looking like right now. I absolutely love the way this looks. It's such a nice clear passage. None of the bushes or the hedges is hitting up against the house, which is exactly what I wanted. And so what I did basically was, let me show you guys here. I actually went ahead and just kind of cleaned up the mulching a little bit in here. And then I just redistributed it because it was so much mulch, and I didn't want to just throw it all away because I could reuse it. So in certain areas where it's a little bare, I'm just going to add additional mulching. And so that's basically all I'm going to do in those bare spots. But for the most part, I really, really love the way this looks. Everything is trimmed up nice and neat. It's not blocking the window. It's not rubbing up against the house, which is definitely perfect and ideal. All right, so here's a final look at the front yard flower beds after the makeover. And basically this was super simple and super easy. The only thing that I needed to purchase for this was mulching. So basically I just trimmed up all the hedges, made everything look nice, clean, and neat. And I went ahead and bought some brick edging so that everything is matching up perfectly, and just gave it a nice, good mulching. So in this next landscaping project, I consider this project to be pretty big in terms of the size of the landscaping. In this project, I wanted to actually create a second walkway space to go over the grass that's going to connect to my existing walkway and then lead all the way out to the driveway. So then that way, whenever I have visitors or friends and family, when they come by, they're not having to walk over the grass, because the little space in between my cars to get to the walkway is so narrow, they just end up walking over into the grass. So I decided to create a walkway here, and then also some beautiful landscaping with flowers and some other designs. So this project took me all of 7 days to complete. I basically would work outside and complete, some of the project whenever I got off from work, and then that weekend, that's when I pretty much finished up everything. But it was super easy, and again, this can be completed by one person. So as with my other projects, I'm going to be using the no-dig landscaping edging. This landscape edging is a lifesaver, you guys. And remember I said that there will be little to no digging? Well, this is pretty much the bulk of the digging right here. And again, what I'm doing is creating a trench. And this is so that whenever I create my landscaping design and I add my mulching, the mulching will not spill over onto the walkway. So this project was a lot of fun, you guys. It was a lot more work involved because of the size of the landscaping, but I will say that this project, halfway in, it took on a life of its own. It started off one way and it grew into something completely different, and I'm so glad it did. I got so inspired that I kept adding on and adding on until it was perfect the way I needed it to be. So here's what it looks like after I applied all the landscape edging. I basically created a design. That's the first thing you wanted to do, was to create a design. So this was the design. This included the walkway that I mentioned before. And I also wanted to, add some flowers and a little feature here. But this was not the initial design, you guys. This is not how it turned out. You guys will see how this project actually grew into something else. And I do want to point out the reason why you see all the stakes sticking up is because, again, the soil was super hard. So I had to, drive the stakes into the ground little by little. But anyway, this is what it looked like after I basically added my X board. And for those of you who are wondering what X board is, it's sort of similar to cardboard, but it's a lot thinner and a lot more pliable. And again, you can purchase this from your local, hardware store, but I'll be sure and just put a little picture of it up here. All right, so as you can see, I've already covered the entire space in the X board. So now the only thing I have to do is get started with adding my stepping stones. And I want to start by just kind of watering the X board a little bit, again, just to kind of make it more flexible. All right, so it's getting late in the evening and I just want to show you what the area looked like after I applied all the stepping stones. So the only thing left to do now is to add the pea gravel and the mulching. And so here's what the space looks like after I have added all the mulching and the pea gravel and the rocks. And this is initially what the project was supposed to look like, what the makeover was supposed to look like. But of course it grew. It grew into something else. And so I got the idea of, okay, you know what? Let me go ahead and finish just mulching that entire space. So I added more of the X-board to that space, planted some more flowers, and I'm so loving the way it turned out. Took on a mind of its own, and I really, really love the end results of this. So here was the final result of this project. I absolutely love the way this turned out. And again, this was super budget friendly. I did this in about 7 days and I did it completely by myself. Anyone could do this. This was super affordable and it added tons of value to my home. So this fifth and final project is probably one of the easiest out of all of the projects. This one is super easy, especially if you're wanting to just update your space, your flower bed, or maybe there's another area in your front yard that you want to landscape and just kind of make it beautiful, or maybe you already have a landscaping area, but maybe you want to increase the size of it, or maybe make it smaller. So that's what I'm doing here. So I actually started landscaping around my deck area, and I wanted to include the area where my HVAC is located, as well as my hot water heater, just to kind of make that area really, really nice and pleasant and just beautiful to the eye. So I went ahead and started by just extending the landscape edging and just making it bigger, and then just adding some weave fabric as well as some stones to beautify the space. And this was super easy, again, super affordable. All it took was the stones, the bricks, and then a few landscape fabric and then some mulching. Super easy project, you guys. And I did this in literally a few hours. So again, these projects are great ways to actually beautify your landscape in your front yard space, also increasing the value of your property. These projects are completely budget friendly. You can get these done in as little as a weekend or a few hours, and it doesn't require any assistance. You can do these completely on your own. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found these projects beneficial and inspirational to you. These projects are truly budget friendly and easy and simple to complete, and you can definitely do these on your own. All right, you guys, so we are at the end of today's video. And if you guys really enjoyed the content, don't forget to give this video a huge thumbs up. That would really, really help out my channel. And I will be seeing you guys really, really soon in my next video. So until then, bye now.